All right, another game just like that. I'm just running with regular Azami right now rather than the budget version. Just felt like playing some games with this, as it's been a little while. I'm up against Erebos, God of the Dead, going second. As far as mono black generals go, I'd say that this guy's probably number 2. Clearly you know how much of a fan I am of Skithrix if you've watched my channel. And I just think that Skithrix skips the entire issue of having to grind out long-term card advantage with an enchantment like this one, when you can just kill your opponent in 1 or 2 swings or 3 swings with it. There's no reason to even screw around with the card drawing. Obviously, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got Azami, which pretty much never swings for damage until the game is completely locked up, and tends to just do it in one fell swoop after grinding out a ton of card advantage. So they are kind of similar commanders in a way. Obviously, I think mono blue is better than mono black, though they both have some fundamental vulnerabilities. As long as your opponent doesn't draw Soul Ring, however, or Mana Crypt at the beginning of the game, Azami tends to have a lot of legs and is pretty tough to beat. But he's going first. No mulligan from him. I'm keeping, obviously, a great hand with 7 because it's got Mana Drain, Snapcaster, Thought Vessel, and even Muddle in it. So this is definitely a high percentile hand. Let me get these dorks out of the way. You notice also I've got the chat log cropped away because people were complaining that it was spoiling game stuff. No matter what I tried to do, it seemed like stuff would pop up there and be relevant, so I've gotten rid of it entirely. I don't think it matters. Wait a minute, 1 black mana? Hey, look, of course. And might as well have a 4th mana source to go with it on turn 1. All right, well, it's going to be a struggle. Fortunately, I do have Mana Drain, and I do have the Thought Vessel, so I can catch up. It's going to depend a lot on what he does next turn. Let me get Azami out of here. Mystical Tutor. All right, well, that's very handy. Long-term stuff. I don't play Amnesia in this deck, though, so not having access to that means that I can fall into a pretty big hole if my opponent gets too far ahead in cards and obviously in mana. And Nin the Pain Artist uses Amnesia because it doesn't use Winnow Orb. I think you use one or the other. I don't know if you play with both of them in the same deck because they don't really make any sense. Either you trap all the cards in their hand or you remove the cards in their hand. But doing both of them doesn't really make a lot of sense. All right. It's really important he doesn't have another source of black here. He taps out and plays Erebos, and I wish that I had a Daze. And done. All right, well, now that's really interesting. The fact that he doesn't have another black mana means that I can actually safely deploy my Thought Vessel on the next turn rather than waiting with Mana Drain mana up. Because he's almost certainly going to spend his next turn just drawing a card with Erebos unless he does draw another swamp, which means that I have complete free reign on the next turn. And it's really, really important that I get this out because I need to hit 4 mana to double up on Snapcaster Mage and Mana Drain, which would allow me to get Azami in play and keep pace with this start. Cool, and Island's really helpful. I'm just going to play that. I'm not going to fetch, not only because the fetch lands are more flexible for dealing with reshuffling when I want it with things like Future Sight or Magus of the Future, but also I don't want to thin the deck of islands. And even though that's 1 out of something like 19 or 20 islands, it's still significant. So I'm going to play the Thought Vessel here, even though I've got Mana Drain. Because I'm just not too afraid of what he could do on next turn unless he draws a swamp. And his deck immediately delivers. Okay, Cold Steel Heart. It's pretty interesting. Well, naming black. I can't blame him for playing with this card. I think I have it in my Skithrix deck. Maybe I don't, but I think I may have it. I haven't checked the deck in a while or played it. Maybe it's time for some Skithrix games. Anyway, he can draw at the end of the turn, so we're falling into a pretty big hole here pretty quickly. At least I've got 4 mana out. And we can hope to do a Mana Drain into something, or Mana Draining something big, and then Mystical Tutoring for potential comeback cards. All right, end of turn, he draws a card. He's up to 5. And then end of turn, he also Vampiric Tutors. And of course, I'm going to let that go, even though I could muddle it. Because my hope here is that he gets super greedy and he goes for something enormous. Something like Karn Liberated, or some other Planeswalker, or Runescarred Demon, or potentially Mind Twist, which would make a lot of sense. Ancient Tomb. So when he plays that right away, I figure, hey, maybe he just played Ancient Tomb, but I don't think so. And he starts to tap a lot of mana. Whenever you're sitting on Mana Drain and you see something like this happening, Start to get a little excited. All right, he's tapping completely out, but he leaves 2 mana floating in his pool, and I have no idea why. But he did get Mind Twist, and I've got the perfect answer. Drain. I gotta say, that's probably the 1000th time in my life, or maybe even longer, or even more, I should say, that I've mana drained Mind Twist. It's something that was a big part of the Magic that I played more than 20 years ago. All right, so he's still doing nothing. He's just got floating mana in his pool. And if you actually do the math here, because I'm getting 7 mana during my next main step, I have the perfect sequence of plays here, thanks to Mystical Tutor. So he's done. I'm going to Mystical Tutor. There's the choices right there. It's a bunch of counter magic, Cryptic Command, which does nothing, and one particular card that I've talked about plenty as far as a tool that Azami has in regular EDH that it doesn't have in budget, and that's the Mighty Cyclonic Rift. And man, does this work out perfectly. So I untap. There's 7 mana, or 6, I should say, because he only twisted me for 5, but that works out. I mean, it's exactly 7. That unsummons everything, getting him down to just those things. And I have the Snapcaster Mana Drain comeback. Does draw another land, which complicates things a little bit. He's playing Soul Ring, and of course I am automatically mana draining this because my long-term plans here involve something with Muddle the Mixture. Although it's going to still be a very uphill climb because he's got both Mind Stone and the Cold Steel Heart in his hand, and more mana than me, probably, as well as certainly more cards in hand. But for the time being, I'm going to get counterspell the Soul Ring because that's got to be countered. Plays Mind Stone. I expected that. And I fully expected him to cast Cold Steel Heart here as well. And, well, that would be bad. I would be able to just play back with Azami. But instead, he's predicting what I'm going to do. He just casts a Geth's Verdict right now to get me to sacrifice the Snapcaster. But that does mean that he's tapped out on lands. All right, Daze. Well, that's very timely, actually. Daze is super good right now for a lot of reasons. Primarily because there he is, the Polar Express. Clamp down all the black mana. If one thing that mono black hates, it's Winter Orb. Since time immemorial. I remember losing to this card countless times back in the Necro Summer of 1995. Because Winter Orb was discovered as being the hard counter to Necropotence. And it's certainly still great against mono black. Even with all the mana artifacts that these decks tend to play, it's still great. Plus I had the Daze. Another Swamp. So if I were him, I would definitely play Cold Steel Heart right here, no question. Although there is some value in playing his Erebos out, because if he plays Erebos, he's going to have access to 2 mana a turn at a minimum, which means that he'll probably draw into more swamps, and it looks like my counter magic is down. But unfortunately for him, I have the perfect counter spell. Not only is it free, but it bounces an island back to my hand under Winter Orb, which is even better. That's got to be painful there, Mr. Dark Hollow 23. All right, almost in Azami range actually already. Oh my God, what a perfect card to draw as well. Coalition Relic. I sure can't complain about some of the top decks here. They're pretty ideal. I'm definitely keeping pace with the craziness. Coalition Relic, absolutely amazing to draw right now. So he's just sitting there. Got another Swamp. Cold Steel Heart comes down. All right, so he's matched me in mana artifacts, but this one does make 2 in a way. It doesn't matter. Charge, untap. Worn Power Stone. All right, so this is certainly a crossroads. I could play the Power Stone, tapping out my mana artifacts, but I decide that I've only drawn 4 land this game, and there are quite a few left in the deck. The chances that I draw Azami, if I draw one more card and hit an island are pretty high. And because of that, I really feel like this is the time to play Azami right now. I don't want to screw around another turn developing the mana. I think I have enough in play. And the Azami Winter Orb engine is so powerful, it can probably counter almost anything he can do. So I'm just going to tap out. Even though it means my islands are going to be all tapped out for a turn, I'm going to play Azami and hope to draw an island right now, which would be half of the mana that this thing generates. Got it. Perfect. I was keeping with the theme of timely top decking. Alright, well, he's got 5. Has to tap out again, which has got to be painful. Liliana Vess. Okay. I'm thinking right now, man, I've got a really, really useless sower in my hand. Please make me discard. But instead he does the right thing again, which is Demonic Tutoring. And I can only expect that that card that he tutored for has to be one of 3 things. It's either Oblivion Stone, Nivenral's Disc, or it's Cabal Coffers. Those are the 3 things that I would get certainly in his position. I guess maybe Pithing Needle is another choice to shut down Azami, and that would be very, very problematic if I couldn't counter it. In fact, Pithing Needle might even be the best of all of them. It's so cheap, it would be tough for me to counter it, and it would give him free reign with Liliana to just crush me now that my Azami was turned off. But I just top-decked Future Sight, so it doesn't even matter. And I drew a land off Azami. Man, what can you say? Sometimes the deck just delivers. Future Sight is so perfect because even if he did get an answer to Azami, and even if he, well, I guess the Disc and Oblivion Stone can kill this off, but I don't really have that kind of time anyway. I gotta take risks and hope he didn't get one of those. The Disc would probably be better because the Disc doesn't kill his own Liliana. And there it is, Cabal Coffers. Okay, so that makes sense. Tap, that makes 5. He's got 7 mana available now. And he makes me discard, and I'm going to throw away the useless sower, of course. Alright, thinking here. Alright. Does nothing. What in the hell? Why did he tutor for Cabal Coffers and then do nothing? I mean, he could have just played his general and drawn a card off of it. I don't understand what was up with that, but whatever. Alright, Coalition Relic. We've got Trinket Mage on top. Man, it just keeps on coming. I'm certainly going to play him. There's this fairly useless guy right now on top, Disciple. Although it actually does still have legs against Mono Black because they have so many spells. Alright, we are going to get the Opal. So obviously, as good as Mana Crypt is in general and Soul Ring, of course, I need blue mana sources. So I'm going to get the Opal. And look at that, right on top. Strip Mine. Nice Cabal Coffers, bro. Let's get rid of that. Play the Opal. Draw a card. Draw another card. And Sapphire Medallion sitting there, too. Man, how bad does he have to feel there? That was basically a Strip Mine destroying 5 mana. Pretty insane. Alright, what's he doing? Tapping 5 mana to cast Palace Siege. I just glanced at this and said, yeah, that does nothing. Really does basically nothing. I don't know why he'd even play with it. Given that he appears to be mono black control and there's so few creatures in a deck like that. I don't know why you'd use a 5 mana thing. But anyway, he's tutoring again. It's going to be pretty hard for him to resolve anything meaningful now. Tap an island. Alright. Play an island. Unreal. Draw the perfect thing again. Gwendolyn, let's draw some extra cards here. Hopefully get... Oh, and Mana Crypt, of course. Might as well get that too. So I can play the Felwar Stone. I've still got 1 blue mana untapped. I've got 3 wizards out against a fully tapped out opponent. He's making me lose 2 life a turn, and I'm at 38. And with the writing very much on the wall, Dark Hollow 23 packs it in. I was very, very happy to be able to beat that draw with him starting with Soul Ring into Mind Stone, into his General, into Vampiric Tutor, and Mind Twist. But Azami just delivered. Beat it. All that stuff without Crypt, without Soul Ring, without any of my other regular accelerators. It just came down to having Mana Drain in hand. Pretty awesome game. Hope you enjoyed it, and there will be more to come soon. See ya.